Hello, my name is Evie and welcome back to Overwatch Everyday Ranked Lessons. This is a series where I play 1 to 5 ranked games each day, explaining my thought process that gets me up to champ on all roles throughout the video. In today's video, I talk a bunch about attention and how to know when you're practically invisible to the enemy team and you're able to go for super aggressive plays. As well as I talk about the inverse where you can take all the attention of the enemy team safely to enable your own team's plays on support. To explore this topic, we play Illari, Ana, Lucio, and even Zenyatta throughout this video. So, with that out of the way, let's get into the video. Alright, but locking into our first support game for the day, we have Dorado with the bans of Diva and Doomfist being the only bans, and Sierra picked from our team. There are a lot of things that we could be playing here. We could be leaning into a sort of like flex support to give us some direction as a team. Illari is very good on this map. I think we can struggle sometimes. But a lot of sort of like rangier base supports can find quite a bit of value on these maps because the high grounds will allow you to be further away from potential threats that would be a big issue for you naturally, or on sort of like less high ground based maps. But with our Hazard, Cassidy, and Lifeweaver now, our options are very open. I'm tempted to go Illari. I think I will go Illari. Basically any support in the game was very playable here. Lifeweaver is going to be healing quite a bit for our team, and our Pylon is going to be enabling our DPS players quite a bit. If we're putting in the right spots. So I want to be using Illari's damage, raw damage that they have for their gun, in a way that can sort of deny the enemy team from making a bunch of plays. Like here, I'm going to be sitting on this high ground, poking out their Winston, so now that they've jumped into our team, they're already half HP, they're forced to use bubble instantly, and they will be going down due to the damage that we were putting in very early. And they have to be going for those jumps. So Illari is going to be an amazing hero to just sort of like punish anyone who wants to be like sort of step in really aggressively and into like close range. So main thing that I want to be thinking about here is just sort of my pylon placement, which I have back at that corner. I have it at that corner because it's able to heal me here, as well as the people who want to be peeking on that right side high ground. So we'll be in a spot that's outside. Damn, what the fuck? It'll be in a spot that's outside of the enemy's LOS in the poke phase. They'd have to jump up onto the high ground to actually see it, and it would enable two very strong poke positions for us. But we will be unfortunately going down to the damage boosted cast headshot, which will send us right back to the spawn room. Now retaking is going to be a little bit harder as we see our Lifeweaver low. I'm going to be seeing if I can keep them up using my pylon here. Winston Bubble gets forced out fairly early, so if I'm able to keep my Hazard alive, it would potentially allow us to brawl on the point fairly well. Unfortunately, I think I steal the life grip meant for my Hazard. Did not mean to do that, but Cat ult gets used, and Cat gets very, very low, but they drag the Lifeweaver into my pylon. It will not be enough healing to sort of keep us alive though, and now that we're on Bastion, we might actually need a little bit more healing to keep them up. So I might be swapping soon. Winston gets super 1 HP and our Hazard is able to find that kill. But as it's just me for our healer right now, I might be using my ult to sort of like step here. Complete whiff of my ult. But we are able to find the cat due to the increased fire rate that our minor perk gives us, and we'll be cleaning up the rest of the team later. Our Hazard gets 1 HP inside their team, but we'll be backing up inside of our Lifeweaver's pull range, and we will be holding that spot. I think that maybe this could be a bit too greedy of a pylon position, but it would be able to heal our Hazard on that right side, and it would still force the enemy team to swing into us, and if they don't look at it like they aren't now, it could be really, really strong. Life grip coming out onto me because I'm low HP. Our Lifeweaver wants the healing for me, but unfortunately, I will drop due to their primal raids being on the high ground, but they will quickly follow up later to take us down on that low ground. Still very winnable fight for our team, especially with Tree coming out onto the point, but as our Bastion goes down, we're going to be losing quite a bit of our damage numbers here. Our Life Reaver gets into critical health range, and I will not be getting back early enough for a pylon placement to keep them alive. Genji cleaning up our Sierra and the cat going in that top right area. Going to make it a little bit harder for us. I think I could be looking potentially for a bit more damage. I'm going to be using my pylon a bit selfishly here to try to clear this high ground, as it's going to be the main spot that will be really hard for our Bastion to play into. And we are able to completely clear out that Winston's bubble. I went to the bottom area to see if I could chase that Winston and find the kill, since they were very low HP. But since we do not have that capability, I'm just going to be pressuring as much as I can. Genji wants to step onto us, but as we are in our pylon range, this can be a very winnable 1v1 for us. So our hazard goes down though. We might want to be thinking about touch soon. Finding a kill onto the Mercy, I'm going to put playing pylon on that corner, making it just cut off from like one angle. But the Genji is going to find it onto, or find a dash onto our pylon. But we are going to hit the shots needed to sort of take both them and the Winston out, and we will be winning this point. Thinking about our next Sun here, I want to be maybe using it in a sort of aggressive manner. As soon as I see their Winston bubble get used. Aww. I didn't consider cat. I should have been thinking about C9. It crossed my mind for a second, but I could have been a lot more sort of actively thinking about it. We are able to find the kill onto the cat though, as we back up to this third point. Our Sierra falling low HP, Reaper going into our team, so I'm going to be using my dash to boop them away further outside of their effective range, and setting them on fire with our major perk. With this Reaper on main, and their Cassidy swinging this right side, they are going to find a nice 2-tap onto us, which will be putting us right back to the spawn room, but we have our Sun to retake this next fight. Our Hazard and our Bastion are able to live. Tree coming out from our Life Reaver, I think a very, very good tree. Hopefully able to help us sustain through the damage that their team is putting into us. I'm going to be popping my Sun Strike, potentially just onto this Juno, to see if I can take out their healers. Now that they don't have their primary healer in the game, and it's just going to be their Mercy healing, it'll be much, much, much harder for them to sustain and live as our damage continues to step out. I think that if there was... if we were down a bunch of our damage dealers, then I think that looking for a kill onto some of their damage to sort of like even out the fight might have been a little bit better, but generally just looking for any sort of pick that you can find reliably is going to be needed in a sort of sketchy position like that. Because Cassidy's on that right side, and they've shown to be able to sort of 2-tap us before. I'm just going to be chilling. Our Hazard wants to be catching out that Cassidy, but we are not able to. Our Bastion finds a nice kill onto the Mercy though. As they get knifed, I just want to be continuing to sort of like play and be ready to care anyone on our high ground, and I'll be dropping to try to poke out this Reaper and help our team with it, as our team wants to step up. But as their Junker Queen is walking into their effective range, we need to be very careful of the knife ability. So I'm going to be throwing my pylon over there with the idea that I'm going to be dashing back to that right side high ground if things start to look bad for us. Our Sierra goes down fairly early, and our Hazard goes in, which is rough for our positioning. I have my pylon on that left side, but as I'm not able to actually get too close, and we don't have a Hazard to really take some attention, we will be backing up, but our Hazard has an amazing pinch with their spikes, and we will win that fight. Reaper on that right side, and somebody else... Oh no, it's just the Reaper bottom left. They TP'd out. And we will be chilling. Cassie close. I think that I just want to be backing up here. Our Hazard's on that right side. Juno Ray gets used super early, which is amazing for us, but we need to be super careful of that Cassie walking that top left. Just like the hit scans that we were playing in our session a little bit earlier. We want to be staying alive as long as we can, pumping in damage because our primary value is going to be coming from our gun, and we can't shoot our gun if we're in the spawn room. With their Winston's on that right side, I almost have my Sunstrike, so I'm going to be playing towards these outer parts of the map. I might have to touch, unfortunately. I think that I will, so I will be having to put myself in a fairly risky position. Reaper ult comes out onto the point, and we will not be able to find a second touch, and we'll be losing that point or game full capped. I think super winnable game. We're kind of in a really decent spot. I think that with the aggressive style that our team really likes to be sort of like leaning into, I think the attack might be a little bit better for us. So I think that I might be going something like a Kiriko to kind of enable that. Want to be leaning away from the Juno, especially with their Cassie now having, or Cassie having that Mercy pocket and now going to be able to play around the high grounds. It's going to be really difficult to position ourselves in a way to find value on heroes like Juno, which are going to need at some point to be sort of swinging like somewhat wide for our missile value. It might be better to just be playing something like a Baptiste or a Kiriko who wouldn't need to swing that wide to find their value. With the Lifeweaver, Sierra, and our Sojourn though, again, quite a few things that we can actually play. I think that Kiriko is the safest option. Our Ana wouldn't be bad. Mizuki wouldn't be bad. I don't know why my screen is black. Maybe the Ana is the play here. I'd like something with a little bit more consistent healing for my DPS line though. But I think that if we're able to enable our plays through the amplified healing of our nades or anti-healing onto the enemy team, and finding a sleep onto this Winston could be very strong for us. As their bubble gets used, that's going to be our trigger to allow us to sort of rotate. Cassie's falling low HP. Mercy gets 1, but we're not able to find that kill quite yet. But their Winston will be playing and trying to stabilize on that roof as we have taken the space around it, which will be ending up with them going down. Cassie on that main area. Our Sojourn is still pushing the cart. We don't have to do anything too fancy. Since they don't have their tank, they're not going to be able to stop our hazard easily. But as our Sierra goes down, I'm going to be looking for an aggressive nade, which will land, but I think that we do need to be very cautious in our positioning here. Our hazard's able to find an amazing kill on some Mercy. Sorry, walking up. I want to see if I can get any LOS for our hazard heal. We are able to keep our hazard up. I see the Cassie on that right side. I'm going to be nading them and then backing up shortly after, as nade is going to be our main self-sustain cooldown, and we will no longer have it to actually live if their Zarya wants to step onto us. So I'll be backing up. Nade coming out. I missed my hazard, but I hit it onto their team, and we will be able to win based off that. Not quite able to find the kill onto, or the nano onto my hazard. Their Cassie is going to find the flank, which will take most of our team down, but our hazard and our Sojourn are just duking it out on the cart, and we will be able to win that fight. Amazing stuff from my team. I didn't quite hear the Cassie walking on that right side, but that will be okay. As the rest of our team wants to be walking up, I'm just going to be playing on the cards, and somebody has to do it. So I'm just going to be trying to do what I can to heal from here, thinking about how I want to use my nano. Ideally, if we're able to get to the cart to a point where we can no longer push it, it would be really nice to use my nano to sort of break past that choke point. But right now, we're just going to be kind of getting into a worse and worse position as Ana. As our hazard gets on the cart, though, it will enable us to actually chill. I didn't mean to nano our Sierra there, but it will end up working in our favor. I meant to save my Sojourn with that nano boost as they were critical, and we've already committed ults to the fight. We could not afford a death there. So I'm just going to be pathing towards this room and being very careful of their Cassie. Cassie dropping and finding the kill onto my Sojourn. It's going to be an impossible rotate for me to make into their team's LOS unless I see this Cassie sort of like back up that left side, which until I see that and I know that this area won't have any crosshairs trained on it, I'm not able to rotate. So I just really want to make sure I know where their team is looking. As I'm looking at my hazard right now, that could have been a trigger to rotate, but unfortunately I did not think about it in time. Torbjorn spamming out our corner. As their Cassie walks forward, their Sojourn, or our Sojourn slides back into our LOS. And now there's going to be a lot more available space for us to position on Ana here. Cassie's on that far back high ground, and we are going to be able to outrange that Cass at this distance. So we can be utilizing that to our advantage. I hear somebody top left, so I just need to be making sure that I'm carrying my sleep dart and ready to help the best that I can. But as our Cassie goes down, we can be developing a little bit further into their space. Unfortunately, our hazard goes down immediately after, so I think I'm just going to hightail it out of here. Getting back onto this left side high ground to help our Sojourn continue spamming and building up our next nano boost and our secondary perk. Once we get the headshot perk, especially on this point, it's going to enable us to be a lot more of a lethal threat to their team. Especially in positions like these where the range of our gun is going to be very, very, very scary for them. Our hazard gets low HP. I hit a nade onto their backliners, but fortunately their team is going to be walking down our Emre shortly after. Finding the nade onto the Torbjorn, who's 1 HP, is going to let us... I don't really want to touch the cart there because I know the high charge Zarya is lurking around, and if I drop to touch the cart, there is a very high chance that I would just kind of like die. Bubble coming out onto their team, finding the nade onto my hazard. Not finding the sleep onto the Nooning Cassie though, but as their team is using a bunch of ults, I just want to be trying to carry my hazard from the safest position that I can, and then will allow our team to stabilize. I want to be leaning towards this left side. Our hazard is getting healed up. I'm very close to my next nano. At the rate that I'm farming it, then we'll be able to find it potentially for the later half of this fight. Nade coming out into the Torbjorn. Our Emre finds an amazing ult, cleaning up most of the players on the cart. So I just want to make sure that my Emre stays alive here. As I have to reload though, it's going to be kind of rough. Juno walled off and is going to be put into a really bad spot. I still want to be holding this high ground as there's a good chance that they could touch this, but as our cap comes through, I will be able to walk up and then take this left side area, which will still be maximizing our range against their team. Since they're looking at their team comp, they have a lot of heroes that will excel in those sort of like close quarters combats. The Torbjorn has a shotgun, their Zarya has a limited beam range, and their Cassie has very, very big fall off at longer distances. So recognizing all of that, we know that our effective range can be a lot further away from their entire team composition. So we can be just mega chilling. And I nano jacks, but that's okay. I think I can swap here as this point is going to be a lot closer quarters. Naturally, it might be easier for us to swap off of Ana here. And I think that is what we are going to do. I want to try to go fast though, and typing to my team, hopefully that they will see it and not play too aggressively. I don't think that'll be the case though. I'm thinking I'm just gonna go Kiriko. Yeah, especially with the Bastion, I think that Kiriko is going to be fairly good, since even if we played Ana into the Bastion, while traditionally the utility will be able to sort of negate a lot of the raw numbers that the Bastion is able to sort of like put out onto our team with our Sleep Dart and our Nade, making it so that their Bastion can't get healed. And their DPS is not going to be easy to find value out of. With their Zarya bubbles, it will make it much harder for us to actually get the value out of our utility, since they could just cleanse the nade or the sleep or block the sleep dart. And it'll be very, very hard for us. So Zarya is 1 HP. We are able to find that kill. Our Emery's on that top right area, and I think that'll be pretty good space for us. Even though I'm not on the cart, we can be taking this area and helping out our hazard the best that we can. Still holding this high ground. Our Reaper's on the card, our Life Weaver's on the card. I really like this high ground, but I think that I am going to be the one that has to be pushing the card since our team wants to be playing up, which is going to be quite scary for us. As our Reaper gets low and their Zarya starts walking me down, there's not much I can do in terms of actually touching the cart. But I can try to care our Hazard. And we will be fortunately losing that game. Really, really sucks that we had to be the one on cart there, since overtime is just really rough. I think that it just kind of sucks. Really rough game. I think that the Illari was doing quite a bit of work. I think that potentially swapping a little bit earlier to something like a Mizuki, though, could have been fairly beneficial. This is a whiff on our Sun, but we are able to just find the value out of our minor perk with our increased fire rate to just sort of clean up the rest of their team. So, kind of an unfortunate start for our support games today, but these will happen. Very A-okay. And we can just look forward to our next one. Okay. Locking into our next game here, Cassidy, Diva, and Widowmaker being the ones that are banned. Reinhardt, Sierra, and Ana. I was just talking about in queue how I kind of wanted to play some Lucio, and this looks like the perfect opportunity to do so. Lucio is going to enable our Reinhardt quite a bit with the speed boost, getting our Reinhardt into better positions, as well as Boop potentially enabling our Ana and our Sierra a good bit in case any sort of like big flankers want to get onto them, as well as we're going to be able to use our mobility to sort of keep up with our Onron and potentially support them on any sort of like off angle fights if there's nothing for us to really do main. So I think that Lucio will be a really, really strong pick here. Not definitely doesn't need to be the only pick. I think that almost every support can be played here. I think the only hero that might struggle a little bit is just Zenyatta, because it might not be able to keep up with the sort of faster tempo that the rest of our team likes, but I think that they're still very, very viable. Zenyatta, if you're able to live long enough and get your Discord orbs off, it'll be really, really good. And you can see here that they have a Zenyatta. Going to be somewhat hard for us, and as our Onion gets low on this right side, I'm going to be just walking over and amping heals. Our Reinhardt finds their way onto the point though, our shield goes down, so I'm just going to be chilling here and just spamming out the best that I can. Our Sierra goes down shortly after, and the Mauga pins onto our Reinhardt, putting us in a kind of rough spot, but I think that because of our Boop we are able to get another tick out of that fight. So despite us going down and not being able to find any kills, we are going to get 2 ticks on the objective, which is going to put us in an amazing position in future fights. Our Reinhardt's in a fairly safe position, so I'm going to be just trying to prioritize the care onto my Sierra, especially since our Reinhardt's shield is going to be coming back whether we heal our Rein or not. Mauga pin coming out onto our Rein yet again, and our Onion's able to find an amazing kill onto their Onron. Nano boost coming out makes me want to sort of chill. I did not mean to pick the beat perk, but it probably is better here. And now that this Mauga is just sort of trying to like raw trade our Reinhardt. Nade coming out onto the Mauga. We just really want to be supporting this frontline brawl the best that we can. Since they're fighting outside of their backline nonetheless, it will be advantage for us, but only if we have more numbers than them. Since if we were going to go do something else there, our Reinhardt would not have our healing, they wouldn't have our sort of damage and our boops onto that Mauga, which would make that trade much harder, and it'd be a very difficult fight for our team to win if our Reinhardt goes down. So seeing that they have their rail and thinking about the ultimates that they might have, I think that they're going to have their Transcendence, closing in on their Overclock. I think that the first big aggressive ult that they use is going to be probably the one that I'm going to beat, ideally being their Overclock. If they Overclock, then I'll be able to beat, and it'll be very hard for their Sojourn to find any big value. Transcendence coming out, but our Reinhardt is able to find an amazing kill onto the enemy Sojourn. I get nanoed, so I'm going to be looking to find some sort of value with it, but I don't want to be forcing it too much. As I get discorded and low, I'm just going to be chilling. Beat coming out from their, or Cage coming out from their team, so I'm going to walk in with my beat here. They hit a massive ante, which is going to make me prioritize speed just a little bit more. Because of the beat perk, I'm going to be able to have another amp as soon as our beat ends, which will help us sustain that fight quite a bit. We got put in a really sticky situation there where we were caught in open space without cover. With like while we were discorded and the Sojourn with the railgun was looking at us, so I had to shut up for a moment there and really lock in and focus on my movement, since that would be the only sort of ability like thing that would be able to keep us alive there. Making myself in or moving in a pattern that actually is really difficult for the enemy team to line up a shot with is going to be a really crucial skill that I think that a lot of support players especially should know, but any sort of squishy players. It's less important for tanks to understand good movement, and I will be making a Theory Thursday video about it eventually. But that's what allowed us to sort of like live there and continue our value throughout that fight. Since especially on Lucio, a lot of your big value is going to come from your movement, as you can be a fairly difficult hero to hit sometimes, using your mobility to get into good spots that make the enemy team look at you, and then if you're able to get them to look at you and not put their damage numbers into someone that's going to be a little bit easier to hit, like your tank, then it could end up canceling out a lot of potential damage that the enemy team could get. As I hear the overclock used, I'm going to be popping my B and then sitting on the card trying to deny any touch that their team might have, and we will be winning that point. Full capping, going 7-0. A lot of what we were doing on Lucio there was just sort of using our speed boost utility to get our Reinhardt in and out of dangerous situations, as well as our amp. Once we are in a committed spot and taking some big number trades, we want to be putting our healing numbers into our team as much as possible, which will enable us to actually like win a lot of those fights. I think the beat perk there, especially in these huge brawl mirrors where they're going to be on Malga, they're going to be on Bastion, we're going to be having to commit in these closer range, big number trade like brawls. The beat perk is going to be a phenomenal resource, which will allow you to effectively get 3 amps in a single team fight, especially when ultimates are being used. And you're matching something else with your beat. You're either able to extend and let your team get into the fight and use the extra overhealth that you're giving them with the beat with an amp speed, or if we are all in a committed like sort of one spot, then you're going to keep everyone up much easier by effectively getting 3 amps. You can use your amp in the pre-fight or early fight to keep your team alive or get them into a good position. Once you pop your beat, it'll pop your amp again, which will allow you to heal up your team again or speed them to just continue chasing with your beat overhealth. And then you'll have, by the time your beat is over, you'll have another amp ready. So that perk is going to be really good in these big brawl mirrors, but I personally favor the boot perk in most situations, so both of them are very good. There's not a wrong answer for your Lucio minor perks. Our Ana goes down, so we're going to be trying to keep our team alive the best we can despite that. So I'm going to be pushing their Maga away and just trying to heal up my Reinhardt best that I can. But as we go kind of low, we had 2 options. We could either look for a full stable, speed our team back, or we could go for a crash out. And I decided to go for the crash out, trying to find any kill onto their Kiriko, as I didn't think that we would be able to get a recontest, but though I think if I backed up, we probably could have gotten another recontest. So thinking about this next fight here, I want to be making sure my Zarya stays alive as they get antied and without many bubbles. I want to just be amp speeding them and booping that Malga away as much as I can to make it harder for them to take down my Zarya. As our Zarya is getting higher HP, I'm going to be looking to speed them because they are high charge and looking to get very active, so I want to support them in doing so. And a really important thing to note as Lucio, most of your carry potential is going to be coming from your understanding of where the enemies are looking on the map. This is really important for Lucio, where you can be getting a lot of individual value, though you won't be winning. Like if multiple people look at you as Lucio, you're gonna die. You're gonna die really fast. But if you understand that your tank is in a really threatening position to them, and they are kind of the enemy team is forced to look at your tank, it will allow you to get really active onto either their tank or their backline, because it means that they cannot look at you, and if they do look at you, it means that they're not dealing with the huge threat of your tank, or like maybe an ulting like Sojourn you have on your team. Some sort of big threat on your team that the enemy is forced to look at will enable you to go for your own plays, which in turn will support your teammates' plays as well, because if you are able to take some attention and get them to look at you and not your team, then they'll make their jobs way easier. That's going to be the primary value that you can be getting on Lucio. While the numbers are good, the utility is good, speeding slower teammates into good spots is very strong, and the ultimate's very strong. The actual like attention trade is something you want to be honing and getting really good at on Lucio. Since my on-run was getting super active and taking all of their attention, I would just go that left side area and be able to pump in a bunch of damage, and if I wanted to, I could probably even go like closer and just try to blow up the rest of their team, but they had to look at my on-run there, which would enable me to get super active. So as their Hanzo's able to look at me and Nano Boost comes out onto my backliners, I'm going to be booping their Maga outside of their effective range and carrying my Ana. As Overclock gets popped and Dragon, I was thinking that I wouldn't really want to beat that Overclock as it was started in a really bad spot and it'd be hard to find value out of. As the Dragon was popped as well, I just want to be safe and pop my beat. But it looks like our Zarya might be in a little bit of a rough spot here, so I'm just going to be buffering that sort of location that our Zarya was playing in that hotel room, booping that Maga away if they wanted to chase. And as at Hanzo's high ground, I would ideally want to be on that high ground contesting their Hanzo to make my Ana's rotation much safer, but I will be late to recognize that, and we will have to just support our Ana and our Zarya through just shooting at them and then speeding our team out. As they use their Kitsune Rush, we're not going to be able to win that fight. We don't have ultimates in match, so I'm going to be speeding my team out the best that I can. Our Sierra goes down, unfortunately, but our Ana, and it looks like hopefully our Zarya might live. I'm going to boop their team away. I think that that might be okay, even though it wakes up the Maga. I will be getting in this cage, though. I have Amp in 6, and I don't have my beat ready for this fight, but we might still be able to turn this around. Finding 2 dinks onto their Sojourn is going to be actually really nice for us, as they're not going to play nearly as aggressively as they potentially could have. Thinking about ultimates they might have, Nano Boost is going to be a very big one to be worried about, but as their Maga goes into our team, Kiriko will TP Suzu's in, which is going to make them a super vulnerable target, and we're going to clean that up shortly after. Amp heals coming out onto our team to allow us to stabilize afterwards, and Dragon, in a desperate attempt to stop our momentum, will be used by the enemy team, but we will be winning that fight nonetheless. Building up our beat, trying to live in that cage the best that we can, just slowly poking down everyone who we could, I think is going to be what really wins us that fight there. I'm going to be going in a bit more of a riskier spot to make sure that I get this amp speed onto my Zarya and enable them to live. Since they really wanted to be blowing up my Zarya, it would allow me to go for that riskier play, though I'm a better... I probably could have been punished for it if their Sojourn was able to flick to me effectively. But because we speed our Zarya out, we're able to kite their OC, we're able to stabilize and deny most of that ultimate ability's value. We will be able to go back in now that we are refreshed and ready to fight, and we will win that brawl. 30 seconds left on the clock. I think that with our Nano Boost, we just want to be kind of chilling a bit. I want to be putting myself in a spot that's not inside of their shooters LOS, since if I get one shot here, it could be really bad. So, as they pop their Kitsune Rush, I'm going to be doing the exact same thing. If I want to give my Zarya the option to speed out, but as we don't really take it, that's going to be okay. We use our Nano Boost instead. Their Kitsune Rush was not used in the greatest spot, so it's going to be very easy for us to stabilize through it, and we will win that game. And 22 and 1, 9,000 healing, 6,000 damage. I think that it's hard to actually sort of judge how you do, especially on main support from just stats alone, because you're going to be finding a lot of value through your raw utility. But something that you can be thinking about is ideally you want to be trying to die not too much in most games on heroes like Lucio. But that will be putting us right back on our climb, continuing the winning trend that we've built up over the past few support sessions. We'll be looking in a pretty good spot for our next game. Maybe if we continue that winning trend, we can get up to Masters 4 today. That would be awesome. At least since mobility is going to be allowing you to take attention. But looking at our team comp here, I think that Kiriko is going to be fairly good. I'm going to go Ana, actually. A lot of heroes could be pretty good here. I'm just going to go Ana because I think they'll be a little bit easier to carry my Freya and my Emre potentially, as well as since it's a super long range sightline map, I'll be able to sort of like just pump in damage very easily. Or not damage, but like stay safe and pump in healing and just shoot my gun very safely. So their Tracer and their Winston go for a pretty aggressive play. As our Zarya is sort of just chilling, I want to be making sure that I'm alive as well. Winston uses their bubble, and after this bubble is out, I can be maybe looking for another play. Somebody's still kind of like in our walls, so I just want to be chilling, finding the sleep onto the Tracer, which our Emre is able to follow up with. The Sombra fortunately missed their virus, but we're not able to find the last shot onto them, so I just want to be careful of this Sombra sort of behind us, making sure that I have some cover to play around, and Winston will be providing me a bubble to do exactly that with. Making sure that I keep our Emre alive is going to be super important, as that's going to be one of the main damage sources for our team. As Sombra's behind, I'm going to be looking for a sleep dart on some. Tracer's on me though, so I just want to be living the best that I can. Something that I like to do sometimes on Ana, whenever there's like a Tracer or a Sombra or somebody who wants to be sort of like chasing me down, and I have a little bit of a moment to breathe and stabilize, sometimes I like to wait until I actually see the enemy, like sort of like go back at me again, and then nade my feet, in which it would be able to hit them with the anti while healing me up, kind of baiting them in while I'm low HP. But that'll be an instance where I just wanted to keep myself alive. Wow, I did not see them even get low. But we see our Lucio getting fairly low HP, so I want to be just chucking my nade. It'll double as a anti onto their Sombra though. As our Winston gets really low and hit by the axe, I'm just going to be popping my nano boost, getting my making sure that I get my perk while the nano is active, so that my Winston's able to get the speed boost halfway through. So with their Sierra walking forward, I just need to be backing up as there's more of a threat onto us. Nade coming out onto my Winston. I'm going to be using it to try to keep them alive and heal them the best that I can. And they are going to get primal off of that little bit of extra healing as their Junker Queen walks close though. I'm just going to be backing up into this room, grabbing this Mega, so I have my nade for later, which will hit onto their Junker Queen, who is now not going to be able to heal as much off of their ultimate. Nano boost going onto the Queen as well will make it so that we will be going back to the spawn room, but that is very okay. They used both their Junker Queen ult and their Nano for that play, which will be putting us at an ult advantage later. We now have a beat that is going to be fairly free to deal with their Kitsune Rush or their Sierra ult later. And it looks like that is going to be the exact moment in which it's used. Popping our beat to counter the Kitsune Rush. I'm out of ammo though, which will be kind of hard for us to stabilize with, but because we are able to stabilize and I have my nano boost, I'm thinking that I want to be putting it onto my Winston when I can. Looking for a sleep onto the backliners. My Lucio is getting fairly low, so I want to be hitting my nade onto them and then just throwing one shot into them the best I can. But as their Junker Queen finds a good axe and a knife onto me, I'll be going down in the process. I think I played a little bit too close after I got my nano off, and my CDs, then I think that I could just be backing up further, being a lot more safe, and I didn't need to necessarily step up with my Winston, who is fighting off their backline. But no matter, we will still find enough value to win that fight. Thinking about our next fight here, I really want to make sure that I keep my Emre alive, because my Emre ult is going to be a very strong thing to sort of like overlook the point and kind of blow up anyone who touches. But due to our tire coming out, they they won't even get a touch. I love the ragdolls of this game so much. Just see their Sierra flying. Okay. Oh, I think I'm gonna swap this song here. Bang. Okay, awesome. Locking into this next point here. I think Ana will be a little bit weaker. I might give it a try, just because I'm really greedy and I like headshot perk. But I think I'm gonna start by playing main. A lot of the times I can go this top right area as Ana, and as they're on Junker Queen, I think I will be going up there whenever I get the chance to do so. But first, I'm gonna make sure that my team is okay. As I hear my Winston fighting people on that right side, it's gonna be fairly unlikely that my team, or my like core of my Emre and my Junker and my Lucio, are gonna get walked down by anyone in the process. So I will be taking that time to rotate since my Winston's fighting over there. There's not much I can really do, as well as they should be fairly safe. And I'm just going to be chilling back here. Like, I just don't really want to be, like, doing all that much. This is a really important and a nice spot for people to know that they can play as Ana. I was wondering why they're all standing still. Because you'll be able to see most of the point here. You're going to not give up the high ground in the process of doing so. And it's just really, really beneficial if they don't have anything to really like shoot you out. I do need to be careful of their casty. But I think that it'll be somewhat easier to deal with a little bit later. But unfortunately, we will be going down there. I was trying to figure out where my team really wanted to play, and I think that I could be getting a little bit more like fluid with my movement. I don't have to be married to that spot, and that's something actually a very big and common issue that like support players, especially around like the Masters rank, sort of make, is you now, like, after recognizing what spots are fairly good, a lot of the time some supports are less willing to actually like give up those positions for ones that might be a little bit less traditional and more valuable. Since to actually carry games, you need to be finding your value as much as possible. As our Winston goes in there onto their team, I'm going to be popping my Nana boost, and our Winston is going to be able to find their kills on the team. Ball gets forced out completely, and now I will be able to look to step back up with my nade. Fortunately, not able to hit onto their on-run, and Wrecking Ball's on that left side. So I'm just going to be backing up here. I don't have my cooldowns to really sustain myself if I were to play forward more. So I just really want to chill. My Primal Rage popped, and the Wrecking Ball's on this right side. Ah! Lucio's close. I'm going to see if I can try to catch them out. I don't want to be walking towards the pit, though. But it looks like our Emre is going to try to take down their Lucio, and we will be able to find the assist onto them. And I think we're going to be looking at a fairly good spot here. Ideally, if I had the time, I'd like to get back up to that top right area, but it's going to be a little bit scarier with that Wrecking Ball, so I want to be playing more towards closed spaces. Since Wrecking Ball is really good at like actually flying through like open space and using their grapple to get into a lot of different sort of positions, I want to be going into the closed space because it's much harder for them to navigate through. Their grapples are going to be much more difficult to actually execute and like get good roll throughs, as well as their pile driver is going to be much harder to actually get off and like slam us when we're playing inside those like closed rooms. So if I am taking this top right area, I want to be inside that little, I think it's called a cabana. I could be wrong. The Cassie blocks a shot onto our Winston, and the rest of our team will be going down. This is going to be the last fight, so I'm just going to be hiding here, as it's hard for us to find some value. But as our Emery baits all of them in, we're going to find the kill onto the Lucio, sleep onto their ball, but their Cassie is going to be available to turn around and find the kill onto us shortly after, but it will enable our team enough to get back into this fight. Our Winston trying to touch the point, but we'll be going down. I'm sticking Ana just on the hope that my team is able to continue to keep taps. Coming back with my nano boost could be what we need to win this fight. Our Lucio and our Emery are brawling it out, and our Emery is able to find more. Oh my gosh. Lucio slammed. I find the nade onto them, and they're going to be able to live. Oh my gosh. I think their Lucio is still able to touch, so I'm going to be playing around this cage area, as I don't want to get slammed by the Wrecking Ball later. But I find the sleep onto the Tracer, which will enable us to find the kill, but their Sombra shortly after finds a touch. As soon as I see some sort of big threat, I'm going to be using my nano boost, but until then, I think that that's going to be the threat that we were looking for, which will enable us to clean up their Kiriko much faster, and we will be winning this game. A huge clutch from our Emery, but it all came from us being willing to hide, not show ourselves that much inside that mini room, be ready to catch our Emery on their kite, and like sustain them to the point where they could get their ultimate ability off. We didn't necessarily need to swing out onto the point when we did. I think that I was a little bit ambitious on that, and their Cassidy was something we knew that their Cassidy was playing on main, so I could have been a little bit more disciplined. I could have been a little bit slower after I was able to keep our Emery up inside of that smaller room, but unfortunately I did not play it perfectly, but we played it good enough to win that game. For any aim nerds out there, I really like what's it called? Oh, Viscose. I like Viscose benchmarks for my personal aim training. And I think that it's very digestible for a lot of people. Alright, but locking into our next game here. We are on Blizzard World with the bands of Sigma, Zarya, Cat, and Sierra. Cat band's not going to mean too much for us. I was wondering if maybe we could play some Cat. But unfortunately, I don't think that that'll be the case for us today. With a Tracer and a Junkrat, a lot of heroes are available to be picked for us. I think Zenyatta could struggle. Let's try it out a little bit. If Zenyatta's not working, then I think I might be swapping to Lucio, trying to support our Tracer and our Junkrat on those sort of angles. But with our Kiriko selected, we're going to be having enough healing for our team. I'll be able to give my Tracer orbs. I don't have my Zen control set, and I think that I actually do kind of want them with this comp. Main thing that I want is just that. I like putting up scroll on my, I usually use both my scrolls for my orbs, because if my teammate is ever like about to peek a corner, I really want to be sort of in a position where I can just be spamming it as fast as possible to get my orb onto them the moment that my teammate is able to peek, and I'm able to get my orb out onto my teammate. I want it on them, so scroll wheel is going to enable that. But with Zenyatta, the main shtick, my job is going to be basically just sitting at the back of the map, healing my team, and shooting as much as possible, trying to shoot out the biggest threats that we can. Very similar to like a hit scan or a main damage dealer. We want to be knowing what can one-shot us, what can kill us, and then moving to space to see if we can get damage through our just raw, or value through our raw damage, as nothing can stop us on the map. So I want to be just chilling here. We can be getting really aggressive in some places as our Junkrat's on the point. Their Juno goes down. I want to see this D.Va do something, then I think that I might just walk out here. I see our Hazard going onto the Soldier and the Onion, and since that Onion is going to be kind of low on this left side, I'm just going to be walking at them, trying to take them down. Our Kiriko goes down, unfortunately, so I'm just going to be chilling. Their D.Va wants to be stepping onto me fairly soon here. So I'm going to be backing up. They have threats around that right side area, so I'm going to be playing away from that right side area. Getting the float perk, which will enable us to play in a lot of different positions and potentially catch some people off guard. That would have been cool if they walked though. And as their Onion steps towards us, I just want to be chilling. Our Kiriko is going to be very, very helpful in Suzuing us as soon as we get set on fire. So, thinking about this next fight here, I want to be a little bit more stacked towards my team, especially as ultimates are starting to be on the board. I think that I could maybe use my Transcendence to counteract their Onion ult, or even that Coalescence, but it looks like we're going to be able to stabilize that Coalescence on our own. Our Kiriko does go down, and I think that as our Junkrat gets low and our Hazard wants to continue fighting, I want to be popping my Trank here just to enable this brawl. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get Discord on D.Va before I pop my Transcendence, but that'll be okay. As their Soldier has pretty good LOS of us, I'm just going to be backing up and going to the cart to enable my team to sort of walk up and wait for my carry to get back into this fight. But as our Hazard goes back to the cart, I really want to be putting myself in aggressive positions since they don't have anyone to actually deal with me right now. So I want to be using that as an opportunity to get into spots to actually deal some damage. With their Onion on that right side, that's something to be careful of. And their Soldier popping Visor means that we are not going to be able to really swing outwards much. But we find some massive damage onto their team. I'm putting the orb onto my Kiriko so that they are free and able to peek and keep my Hazard alive. As D.Va sort of starts walking, I'm going to go for a little bit of a flankier play here. And as our Hazard hits a spike, we're going to be in the perfect spot to actually follow up on it. Soldier is far behind us. The Onion sets us on fire. So I'm just going to be shooting that Soldier just a little bit, but with Zenyatta, especially using our shield, we're going to be regenning quite a bit. So I'm going to be going this bottom right. In case they were able to touch the point, this bottom right area was going to be putting me in a spot relative to their threats to be very, very safe and hard to actually get onto me, because they would only need to approach me from either that way or this main direction, in which I would be able to respond by training my crosshair onto them very easily, rather than if I was playing in open space and they could have peeked from like a bunch of different ways. So, their D.Vas just sort of like lurking behind us. It's going to enable us to sort of like walk forward, but as this a bit more open space and their hit scan is ready to sort of just blow us up, I'm just going to be chilling a bit. I'll look for any damage that I can, but we don't necessarily need to force it. And especially as we get our major perk, which will allow us to charge our right clicks a lot faster, it's going to be very good burst damage and potentially just kind of like one-shotting a lot of heroes. So I want to be just like keeping it charged fairly frequently. As our Hazard gets low though, I think that it's time for us to chill. I don't want to pop my Transcendence here. Oh, but I think that I will. As our Tracer gets low, I'll be enabling our Hazard to walk. And their Maga gets 111 HP. Without their shout, we can actually fight that because we do so much damage on Zenyatta. The Onion goes behind and we are able to chunk out most of the armor and the shout using our Discord orb from the Maga. It'll enable us to just sort of like walk them down, just raw stat check them, because we have such a small hitbox. They're not able to get the most amount of damage possible from their guns onto us, while we are able to just sort of throw our orbs straight into the Maga's head and do a ton of damage, winning that duel and pushing the cart all the way into the final checkpoint. I think Zenyatta was kind of fun there. I think Zenyatta would be a very good hero, or maybe not a super crazy good hero to continue playing, but I think that they would be not terrible here. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If I'm struggling on first point, or if we get rolled on first point rather quickly, I think that I will be swapping to Ana probably if they're still on that Mauga. the idea behind the Ana would be that if they wanted to be playing kind of the raw stat check our team and just sort of exchange numbers with our Hazard, who only is able to sort of block a certain amount and doesn't have as much raw damage as the Malga would, our utility on Ana would be enabling us to actually win those duels by stopping the Malga from healing themselves with our anti-nade, or potentially just canceling out some of their abilities entirely, or their damage entirely, with our sleep dart, which will allow more time for our team to find their frags. But for now, I think Zenyatta can definitely be fairly good. We find an early pick onto their Moira, and their Maga is walking up. We do see that there's somebody on that right side, so that's something to be a little bit careful of, especially when we're on Zenyatta and we're just going to be this glass cannon type. We really want to make sure that we're just keeping track of everything that can just kind of like blow up our glass cannon likeness. So their Maga's stepping up and our Hazard's fighting on that right side, so I'm going to be discording their Maga to make it really difficult for them to actually walk anywhere. As their Maga pins out, I'm going to be looking for a bit more of an aggressive play. This score onto their Genji, but as their Maga is now stabilized, I'm just going to be backing up. Me dropping off this high ground is going to enable potentially an easier hit onto me. But as our team is continuing to be pressuring super aggressively, it will actually enable us to be doing so somewhat as well. But we need to make sure that we're recognizing our own limits on the hero. We don't necessarily need to be committing to whatever our team is doing as much as possible, but we do need to be trying to find as much value as we can, since especially Zenyatta falls in the sort of like flex support category, and I've mentioned a few times before, a lot of flex support's value comes from kind of just like min-maxing your actual raw numbers. How much you're able to heal, how much you're able to damage. Your general uptime is going to be something very important to consider when you're trying to get really good at these sort of like flex support heroes. There's like Kiriko, Zenyatta, Ana, Baptiste. Spikes come out, and I think that I might be looking for an early play here, but as there's now two people, I'm going to be backing up, trying to bait their Genji into my team's space, and we are able to find a nice kick onto them to line up some easy shots, and we have some even more space to work with here. So I'm going to be looking for a quick volley onto their spawn and then backing up, because now that their Genji is coming close to their dash range and there's a one-shot threat onto us, we just want to be in a position that will allow us to live and continue pumping in as much damage as we possibly can. Rush comes out from the enemy team, but we match it with our own, so I'm not immediately pressured to use my Transcendence, but since their Genji uses their Dragon Blade, I will be a little bit more incentivized to use my Transcendence. Since their Diva is top left, I really want to be careful of that, so I'm pathing through this back right area and then finding an angle onto their Diva, shooting it out before I go for any other bigger plays. As their Kiriko is close, I'm going to be looking to step onto that to make it so that they are not able to heal their Diva whatsoever, and instead fight the 1v1 against me. Since I don't have footsteps especially, it's going to mean it's a favored 1v1 for me since they did not know I was coming. I'm able to find a nice early shot onto them and get the Discord off before they can really react. As Coalescence gets used, that's going to be very dangerous for us because we cannot play anywhere within that Coalescence's range. We just want to be backing up, living as long as we can, and then slowly pumping in the damage and the Discord orbs that we can. As their Onion's sort of waking up on that left side, I really want to just be pathing like away from the sources of danger. So now their Diva is forced to cross so much space, and that will not only force resources away from the Diva, but it'll also allow us to make time to build our Transcendence. Spikes come out from our Hazard, which will enable us to walk up a little bit further. As I see their Diva committing a brawl onto the point, I'm going to be going on this left side area. Kiriko TP's in and Diva's inside of our space, so I'm not going to peek anyone on their team, and I'm just going to instead turn around, Discord the Diva, force her out because she's going to be the primary threat, and we will be winning that game convincingly. Not a death on Zenyatta, still trying to get very active with our damage, ending with 8,000 damage and 11 kills. Very solid for us, I think. But I think that the idea and the play of just backing away as much as possible from the things that really want to kill us. Yeah, okay, we're gonna play one more. And being able and enabling ourselves to just pump in as much damage as we possibly can on heroes like Zenyatta, where the main value is going to be coming from damage over time, is really, really important. And if you get that down, you can be carrying so many games on these heroes. But still, as much as it's important to run away from the threats, you need to also understand when to catch the opportunities, when they are not able to pressure you, and when you can be getting active, looking for plays yourself and any extra damage that you can, because that is where the carry potential is actually going to lie. And that's where you're going to be able to find consistent victories in your gameplay. This also applies, that exact same concept applies for like anyone who like really likes longer range or getting their damage over time. So anyone who finds like a lot of value through just straight up shooting their gun is going to be favored in that. So heroes like Baptiste, Zenyatta, Illari, Wu Yang, Kiriko to a degree. All hit scans, so like Sojourn, Widowmaker, Hanzo, Freya, Soldier, Ashe, Emre, other heroes like Sigma, Domina. It honestly depends. Like if you recognize that you can find a bunch of value and you're going to be able to pump in a ton of damage using just your gun, then you want to be positioning yourself in a way that will allow you to shoot your gun the best possible. Though other heroes' sources of damage, or sources of value, not damage, are going to come elsewhere. Like if we were playing the Lucio, then we can be playing a lot to sort of enable our teammates through either backing up away from the enemy teams, like closer range, like damage and numbers exchanges, or peeling attention away from our teammates and allowing them to do stuff. Heroes like Wrecking Ball will not really want to be playing really far away. They want to be getting close range. You want to be getting consistent sort of rhythmic hits off. Vendetta, they don't have a gun, so of course you got to get in eventually. So just recognizing your hero's effective range and where your value source is actually coming from on your hero, and then adjusting your positioning around it is one of the fundamental ideas that will make you really good in Overwatch. But it's important to recognize also how the game is going, because sometimes if our tank is getting like super active and super aggressive all the time, and I'm trying to play Zenyatta, then that means that they're going to be spending a good bit more time looking at my tank, which will allow for me to go like for bigger plays, more aggressive plays, and potentially get even closer to the enemy team than I might be wanting to get in other games. It's a really important skill to recognize exactly where you can find your value and where you can play from. And I'll try to go into a bit more detail about how I'm deciding to play for the things that I do going into this next game. Whatever hero I end up on, the concepts will remain the same. There's so many custom game codes out there. There's so much potential in like what kind of techniques you can refine in custom games. So just make sure you like get out there, try like look up some things, see if there's like Brigitte training workshop code on Google or something. You can just type in the hero that you want to be better at mechanically and then see what tools are available for you. Because ultimately, like, you'll see a lot of educational content on Overwatch is going to be targeted a lot more towards a bit more of like tangible and like in-game sort of like play styles, and what a lot of people will call like more macro for heroes. But the micro is very hard to sort of develop and sort of talk about. So it's important for you to be using all the tools possible to allow yourself to succeed in the execution of your plays and develop the mechanics that you really want on your heroes effectively. Yo, Evie, I was wondering if there was anything specific I did to learn ball, micro specifically. Yes, literally just roll around the map. straight up just roll around the map, have like, what I would do was I would get in a VC at like 3 a.m. with friends, and it'd be like one of those late night conversations where normally you'd be like, if you're playing a game, it'd be like a Minecraft chest hopping sort of conversation. And instead of Minecraft chest hopping, I would just like wall jump around like various different maps. I would like grapple around and like just see like where my grapples took me. In an empty custom game, there's no pressure to like actually do anything. Just see where your grapples take you. And that will help all like so much with micro on Wrecking Ball. But locking into our next game here, we have Rialto. We're going to be playing a bit more of a pokier style comp. I'm trying it. I'm going to be trying to end this game on Lucio. I think Brigitte would probably be a really, really strong pick here. And also another hero that could be good is like Illari, Mizuki. Could be really good because we're playing this a little bit more of like a pokier direction, and this is a longer range map, so the longer range will enable your kits on heroes like Illari very well. And if they ever got close range or wanted to be playing more mobility based heroes to stop your shooters on our team, like our Sierra and our Ana, then you can be punishing them very easily with chain. But I'm going to be on Lucio, and the idea into their comp as Lucio here is that I'm going to be able to deny their Genji quite a bit. I'm not able to do that much to their actual Sigma, but I'm able to deny their Genji and put them in rougher spots as they try to go for any plays. As you can see, their Genji went for a dash onto my Sierra, and immediately I'm able to boop them away from their supports because I was holding the space around my Sierra, which will allow me to actually like kill that Genji. And then later, as our team was kind of going down and there was no flankers for me to mark out, as well as I wasn't able to find value on the front line because I can't do anything against the Sigma, I wanted to be getting onto their Widowmaker. I wanted to be the diver that would sort of like shut down their shooters, as Lucio is going to be a fairly versatile hero. There are going to be a lot of different ways that you can be finding value with Lucio, and it's recognizing exactly sort of what stage of the fight you're in, where your team wants to be sort of like excelling, or where the valuable spots on your team are, and trying to keep them alive. Or if there are none and you need to just sort of deny the enemy team, then you want to, oh wow, then you can be looking to help with those as well. So I'm going to be trying to help with my Sierra. As the flux comes out onto my Ana though, I'm going to see if I can just sort of keep them alive. Speeding them outside of the Sigma's effective range will allow my Ana to live that flux turn. As the rest of my team is taking vision aggro from their Widowmaker, it's going to make it much harder for them to find the shot onto me. But if my team did not go on that Widowmaker, I probably wouldn't have gone, because it would have been much easier for their Widow to just train their crosshair on me and only me. But they had a really hard decision of who to shoot between me, my Echo, and my Doomfist, which would boost my chances of survival drastically. So the Genji's walking up. I can be looking to try and force that out, but I'm going to boop this Orisa into our spaces instead. I see my Ana low, but I think that I'm just going to kind of hope that they remain safe. As I see this Genji getting onto my Sierra though, I'm going to be using my cooldowns to peel it. There, Genji decides to commit and fight us, which will be okay because we have the Mega to back up to, and we'll be winning shortly after that. So I'm going to be just backing up to my team as ultimates are popped. I didn't hear exactly which ones, but I want to make sure that my team is okay in the process, since I don't know exactly what to deny or what to enable. So I'm just going to go to where I know we need to keep people alive and just keep them alive the best that I can. Since if I'm stacked on my team, it's going to be a deterrent for heroes like their Genji or Orisa, or I'd be able to play for my boop value to either keep them inside of our team longer than we would want, or longer than they would want, or I'd be able to just sort of deny the play entirely through my boop as well, and heal up my team to remain living. So I know their Widow's on that left side, so this big open space is going to be really hard for us. And unfortunately, their Kiriko is going to find some good headshots onto us. I'm not able to get my beat value. Really unfortunate there, since our beat is going to be an amazing tool to win this fight. But as our team is looking to match ultimates, brawling things out, we are going to Ajax the Genji Blade and then finally get the touch onto the point in this overtime fight. I really want to sort of wrap things up now, so as their Kiriko goes down, it will be a team kill. No one's able to touch, and we can play for a celebratory beat. Alright. So thinking about our attack here, we were able to full hold on this Rialto. Lucio can definitely still work, especially if they're on Widowmaker. We can be playing a lot more of a sort of divier style of Lucio, where we can just force out their Widowmaker. As some people would call it, sort of like a Reddit Lucio. Because Widowmaker on this map with those huge open sight lines on first is going to be super oppressive, and we want to be thinking about how we can be denying that the best that we can. Kiriko is actually fairly decent into Widowmaker sometimes, because you can just spam like headshot spam, or spam out the Widowmaker's like angle at headshot level, and it makes it insanely difficult for her to do anything. But again, you're going to have other things to look at as Kiriko as well, but just continuously like chucking a kunai over and over again in their direction can like mitigate their value a bunch. But really good Widowmakers are going to be the ones that reposition very frequently, so that their value is not able to be denied like that. But for majority of Widowmaker players, they're just going to kind of remain in one position. So I think I'm going to try Lucio here. They're on Pharah. Brigitte would be fairly hard into the Pharah, because there's literally no way for Brigitte to consistently interact with Pharah if they don't want it. As well as I'll still be able to sort of like mark out this Genji a bit. As I dash onto my Sierra though, it's going to be a little bit harder. So I'm going to be prioritizing my Sierra living over pushing the cart for a little bit here, because we're going to get that cart around that corner anyways fairly soon. So I want to make sure that we're not actually giving the enemy team any chance to like really like spawn camp or snowball us and build ultimates to a kill. As our Sigma gets low HP, their Genji goes behind us and dashes onto our Ana, and we'll be finding that kill. Unfortunately putting us in a kind of rough spot, but I still am getting card push, which is the name of the game at the end of the day. Our Echo's looking to fight that Pharah on main, so I just want to be really careful. I'm thinking about my kite plan if their Pharah does want to swing me. I think that maybe I can try to get over there. But as they're playing main, it's going to be much easier to play cover around that Pharah. If they were to dash up there though, then I think that I can go inside that little mini room area, as their tank was yet to respawn. But then if their tank did respawn, I could probably just back up that main area. But main value I just want to be playing for is just kind of chilling main. There's not really much for me to really get on in terms of the backline, so I just want to be just like AFK. I can be playing for my aura value here. And as we see our team getting active, it will allow us the ability to go for a boot play onto their Sigma. Genji going low HP, we can just be cleaning this up as the rest of our team is pushing the cart and then fighting the rest of their team, which will take attention away from us and allow us to do whatever we want to do, and we will win this game because that's what we want to do. In the game 13-1, we ended 2,000 perfectly balanced as all things should be. 2,400 damage and 2,400 healing. It doesn't necessarily always have to be like that. Lucio is a very flexible and dynamic hero, so understanding where your value is actually coming from is going to be a really important thing. You'll see a lot of main support players with a really good understanding of the game, because you're going to be patient, or it's going to require you to be somewhat patient, and it's going to require you to understand exactly sort of like what's going on sometimes and have really good awareness. But winning that game will put us up to Masters for 33%. So I think that will be an amazing spot to end our support games for the day. So for my video audience, thank you guys so much for watching. All of these were streamed live on YouTube and Twitch. So if you want to see the next time that we are live, then there's a Discord link in the channel about me. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.